Forza Horizon 5 character creation. Now, I normally choose to play a woman in games, and I know this is a driving game, but there's probably not going to be that much reverse parking in it, so we'll probably be fine. So obviously, my first plan was to make a really attractive woman, but you can see what I'm working with here, and looks like that's out. So then I was going to make a more Chad version of a muscular me, and none of the streaks I saw here makes that possible either. So instead, I decided to go on to the next page to see what the rest of the options were, and I found the pronouns page. And that left me with only one choice left. Yeah, I decided to make King Karen, except because this is a King Karen, she doesn't just have blue hair. Oh no, she's got blue everything. And to top it all off, every character in the game will be calling me Your Majesty. Yeah, what we've got here is the Twitter warrior of the ages. She's managed to become the master victim. If someone with no arms and no legs wants to drive a car at an elite level, let them. That's what I say. They can do anything. Just because you don't have any limbs doesn't mean you can't drive a Formula 1 car. Facts. There's no ableism on this channel. I won't hear of it. Everyone is equal, especially the people that aren't. And during the course of the campaign, it did unfortunately tell me the sorry story of how exactly she lost all of her limbs in a deadly crash that didn't kill her, so it wasn't deadly.
Best idea ever.
Oh no, she's fine.
Alright, I'm not sure if we'll be able to salvage the parade float.
To be honest, I was more worried about the truck. But then there was light at the end of the tunnel. We got to the intro sequence, which was genuinely entertaining. It showed lots of different environments in a whole variety of different cars, with a huge plane flying over the top and dropping all the skies out. It was really, really well done. And then that was where it ended, because then I went into the free play mode and crashed immediately and repeatedly for the next 2.5 hours. Every single time I loaded the game, I'd drive forwards about 4 foot. It would give me a tantalizing glimpse at the game and then crash me back to desktop for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And so I went looking around the internet, and I went on Reddit and found loads of other people have been having this issue for the last 4 days of early access. This is a problem that has always existed. These people paid £85 and couldn't play the game at all because the game was broken. So then I went on Twitter, straight to the developers, straight to their support Twitter, and they said, "We know you're having issues, we're looking forward to it. But as a solution in the meantime, if you'd like to uninstall every single piece of software on your computer, then maybe Forza will run for once." And I'm like, I'm sorry? You would literally want me to install everything, including antivirus, off my computer just so I can run Forza? I mean, I know you're a console developer, but turning my PC into a console isn't the solution. And I don't know why audio software or antivirus would crash your game in the first place, or if you've been coding for more than 2 weeks. But here we are. And it's such a shame. It really is. Because over the last 24 hours, I've spent about 10 on this game. I don't even mean the broken bits. I don't even mean trying to get it to work. I mean actually playing it. Because I've been having a lot of fun. Yes, it's an arcadey racer. If you're a big sim fan, it's not for you. But if you like arcadey racers, and I haven't actually played an arcadey racer in a long, long time. So this was all fresh to me, and I really, really liked it. There's a lot of different missions. There's missions all over the place, and they're varied enough that it really doesn't get boring for a long, long time. I can see it getting repetitive in the future, but I've got it on Game Pass. I only really plan to play it for a month, and then by that point, I'll probably be done with it anyway. And for that month, there's more than enough variety to keep me entertained. In fact, I've probably already had my hours worth of the game. I just quite like the game to work in the future so I can get a bit more out of it. And the core game loop itself is very well designed. You start with basically next to nothing, but stuff gets thrown at you constantly. You'll be getting new cars, new levels, free spins to get more cars, levels, emotes, unlock missions you go through. And while you start off with just a few different varieties of missions, that very quickly expands to a whole host of stuff just to try, and you get sort of absorbed in trying all the different things, unlocking things, and every time you try and go, oh well, I'll just do these few missions, you end up getting sidetracked with something else, some new story mission that you've just gone through, and before you know it, your entire map's full of stuff to do, and it gets a bit overwhelming, in a good way. If you're even remotely kind of level-based, progression-based, grinding-based, a collector of cars or a collector of other things, you'll just get absorbed in this and take it in, and that is where the addictiveness comes in, and it's very well done, and that's how I felt. What made me start, I'll just play this for an hour. Before I know it, 6 hours have passed, and I'm like, I have no idea what I've done, but I've suddenly level 32. And the problems don't just stop once you get into the playing. It's because the connectivity issues just carry on in the game. You'll be driving along and it'll suddenly tell you you've been disconnected, even though you're absolutely fine and your internet's working fine, and it's definitely not you because everyone else is complaining to it at the same time. And when you disconnect, it stops you driving. It stops you moving. You're going from 190 to 0 instantly. Which exactly wouldn't be that big of an issue, except there's a whole thing in this where you've got to chain skills together to get skill points. So you'll be going through and you'll be maybe putting 5 or 10 minutes of work into this, sliding around, doing all these tricks and stunts and chaining things together. And then suddenly your car will just stop because you've been disconnected and it breaks the chain, and all that time, everything you've gained during that time is wasted and lost. And then you'll go for a co-op race with players against AI, and you'll be driving them and beating them, and you've got to beat them as a team. Except you're losing, but then you get to the finish line and the AI is just sitting there. They're not even moving. So you overtake them, and you go from last to third. And then halfway around the track, suddenly the AI just teleports in front of you like they've caught up and the server's fixed again. Except they'll get back to the finish line again and they'll stop. So it really doesn't matter how badly you are, because just before the end of the race, they'll stop just before it, and you'll just be able to overtake them again. You really can't lose. And I know they're having issues. I know they're having massive success because 700,000 people paid 85 quid to get into the game for early access. There's definitely a lot of players in the game. But at the end of the day, this is Microsoft. You've got your own cloud service. You shouldn't be having issues. Seriously. And it's such a shame because everything good with the game keeps being tainted by things like that. Tainted with bugs, tainted with creativity issues. And it's not like a lot of work hasn't gone into the game. There's 554 cars. If you start scrolling from one other side of the cars to the other, it takes about 5 minutes just to get from one side to the next. And all the cars do feel different. Every time I get a new sort of car, it drives completely differently to the others, even though it's an arcadey thing. And whatever kind of difficulty you want in your driving, you can go all the way from game journalism mode, which from what I can see in the difficulties, basically drives itself, all the way up to turning everything off and you get a more realistic experience. Yeah, it's not sim racing, but if you're a fan of an arcadey racer, this is the one for you. If you can get it to work. And I kind of like the arcadeness of it. If it'd gone too over in stipulation, I don't know then that much about cars. I just get lost in all the weeds. It's like the modding in this. I just go, auto-tune for me, please. I don't know all the different pieces of a car and what they do, whether it wants slip, diff, soft, hard, forwards, back, shoved up your face. It makes no sense to me at all. So I like that they do have the auto-tune stuff, especially as that way I can, in the future, always have the option of becoming a games journalist. And there's a lot to like. The levels are varied, the map and the graphics are gorgeous. The footage you're watching was recorded at 1440p. Everything was maxed as high as can go, ray tracing on the lot, and I was still getting like 90 to 120 FPS. So from those graphics, you can bring it down. It runs on a whole variety of systems, and I imagine runs very, very well. But every single positive comes with a negative. Sure, it looks gorgeous, the levels are varied, but the characters in it are really annoying. The same people that made that intro, the same people that made that character creation, probably wrote the characters as well. It really feels like the same kind of energy. But when you're not doing that and you're just going through, it's relaxing, it's entertaining, and you can just do whatever you want at your own kind of pace, and it's just basic fun. And while I can play a shooter of a competition and to get wound up and frustrated when I do this, it's just a kind of chill out game that you don't take very seriously. There's not enough depth to it to keep me entertained long term, but to pop in for an hour and play it, or to play it for a month and then just kind of leave it alone with Game Pass, there's plenty of stuff here to do, and it's well worth the money for that. And even the money becomes a problem because, yeah, you can get it on Game Pass for 8 quid, or you can spend 85 quid and you get the Welcome Pack Deluxe Edition, Mega Edition, Remortgage Your House Edition, which basically just gives you the best car in the game for free. And there's a lot of systems in it like, yeah, you've really set this up to screw every penny out of the customer if you wanted to. Hey, maybe in the future they actually won't want to. But the options are there, it's definitely been built for it. And so I'm torn because for every positive, there's a negative. And while I've had my money's worth and I've had a lot of fun and plan to continue playing the game, I also know a lot of people that would have suffered the same problems I had and immediately just gone, that's not enough, that's horrible, this game's broken, and refunded it. And if I'd paid full price for it on Steam, I would have refunded it as well. It's only Game Pass, which for me is its saving grace and makes the rest of the stuff worth it just because of the massively decreased cost. And so I can't say one way or the other. If you're a fan of arcadey racers, I think this is a good one and it's worth your time if you can get it to work. If you're not, you're probably not interested in the game anyway, and all of the problems are just something that you're very lucky to have avoided. But for now, that's it from me. If you liked the video, press like and subscribe for more videos in the future. And let me know what you think of Forza 5 or any other games you're interested in that are coming out this year down below. But for now, that's it from me. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye for now.